Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever edition of our new podcast, First Thirstdays. A couple of Sandlot players just looking to talk about some local baseball and promote some teams in our area as well as all across the country. My name's Jimmy Coleman, sitting here alongside my friend and teammate Mike G. We happen to be in the studio of our good friend Jonathan Jeter of Jonathan Jeter and the Revelator. So if you hear some random ambient background noise there as we go through this, don't fret. That's just somebody over there playing some local H and probably some Nickelback covers, but that kind of goes into our, it's kind of part of our whole shtick there, right, Mike?
There you go. So my name is Mike G, number 97. If you see me, bury me or give me a ball.
So let's talk about how we came up for this idea to start doing this podcast and how this was born. I believe we were sitting at the Whistling Pig, one of our local drinking establishments, one night, and then this was your idea. We were sitting there with a bunch of us sitting at the bar playing trivia, and then all of a sudden I remember you going, dude, we should do a podcast.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, man, like how can we get more like engagement? How can we get people to see us? And I'm like, dude, let's just talk somewhere and just you and me just go back and forth. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm listening. And I was just like, dang, I'm a little thirsty. Why don't we call it our Thirstdays? So yeah, we got there and now we're here.
It's amazing. Some of those best ideas are born out of sitting at the bar and just having a couple of beers, which is ironically kind of how our baseball team formed. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. But I guess we should start off by introducing ourselves and letting people know who we are and what it is that we're doing and why we're doing this. So I'll let you take it away to start.
Yeah, we're just going to just have a little conversation about Sandlot. We're going to go in different tangents, but kind of just tie it in. Old stuff, new stuff outside of Oak Cliff Sandlot, but also trying to introduce new ideas, new individuals. So we're gonna get there.
So give us a quick rundown on your background and how you come into play here.
So I mean, when I play, I'm usually mic'd up. I got really tagged into that, and I'm always talking to almost every Sandlot player. I've kind of been able to do that just so I can remember and also not mess up when I'm at the plate. But yeah, I think I got some cool stories to share, but also how to connect people I've met, but with the whole Sandlot community.
So for those that don't know, that may be listening for the first time, what exactly is Oak Cliff Sandlot and how did that get started?
So Sandlot, Oak Cliff Sandlot started about almost 5 years ago, I would say. Basically, it was one guy, you would say, the founder, Patty the Batty. So yeah, you know, Patty, he got everything started. He started very grassroots. For me, I just read the stories, you know. He just went out there, started posting flyers literally on poles saying, do you want to play Sandlot? Sure enough, he got a ragtag of individuals, and he started a team. The cool thing about what I learned about Oak Cliff 86ers, because I was just like, are they 86ing people? Nope, Oak Cliff was started in 1886. So that's a kind of cool little history about the Oak Cliff 86ers. But just like the word kind of spread out, we got another team, and it was called the River City Honeybusters. And the River City Honeybusters actually have a cool name that maybe later in one of the segments we'll get into. So if you're listening, you got to catch more podcasts and more of us, you can get there. But yeah, there you go. You have now two teams. And man, they just start playing and just having fun, bringing more people. They started the first Saturdays where you just bring a glove and have a good time at Lake Cliff Park. So it's kind of a good way just to get people going. Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I thought when we just first started, they felt like gods to me. You know, I'm over here reading these articles about them. And then when you see them in real person, and you know they got all these uniforms, and you're like, whoa, this guy is so cool. And basically, I'm just seeing me as a kid seeing the big leaguer. But you know, you get to see them. They all have different types of personality, and once you get to meet them, you're like, wow, dude, Seth's such a cool dude. Man, Jonathan's so amazing. What? He works at Texas Theater. What? He drives a bike. And then, you know, all of a sudden, we're just all friends. So those two teams were literally the pivot in how Oak Cliff Sandlot started. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy, then we have that amazing conversation in the patio.
Yeah, for me, I had no idea. When they came to me and they said, hey, you want to join a baseball team? I thought it was just like a bar league, and I thought we were just going to have a random baseball team and maybe play other regulars at Good Friend and whatnot. I had no idea that there was an actual league. I actually had no clue what I was actually getting myself into. And then I think I missed the first game with you guys, but then second game out there at Oak Cliff and seeing everybody in the different uniforms, and I was like, okay, these guys are actually pretty good. And then I didn't realize this, but I actually knew Patty from way back when. his mom was actually friends with some old friends of mine, and I think it was at our second or third game, and he looked out and he was like, Jimmy? And I was like, oh my God. So then just getting to know him and his whole backstory, like from what I understand, like this was him just wanting to play baseball, and he went full grassroots with this whole thing. I mean, he was cruising around in his neighborhood in Oak Cliff, and he was putting signs up on telephone poles, and he was putting stuff in storefront windows and just trying to get people together to play some baseball. And I guess that was the beginning of that whole open play thing. And then after a while, I don't know the 100% the timeline on this, but from stories he's told me and then other podcasts that I've listened to that he's been a part of, all of a sudden they had enough people and it was like, hey, we got a team. And then, as you said, not too long, it was just them for a little while. And then not too long after that, it was the Honey Busters. And that was kind of it for a little while.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I read the articles, and I was kind of like more excited because I was like, what? This just barely happened like a year ago. So I think we're good because I remember it was 2023. We're starting everything, and then all of a sudden, like, these main production articles are coming telling the story. So I'm kind of reading and be like, wow, this is so cool. Like, we're literally on the first wave of this Sandlot here. And yeah, I mean, our team was the third team, right? So it was kind of cool in that aspect. We're just started the team. We're just playing everywhere. I remember our first team was in Fort Worth. We're like, let's just go. Let's get on 30. And then after that, coming back, going to the first Saturdays and kind of checking in and them asking us like, yo, dude, how'd your first game go? And we're like, first of all, we didn't want to talk about the score now, but they didn't even care about that. They were just like, did you have fun? Oh, wow, how did it feel? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's what I just want to talk about, like the fun part. And yeah, that was just the great thing about it. And it was kind of like catching on. I was like, okay, I'm going to like this because this is basically what I wanted to do. Just like the movie Sandlot, play with your friends, tell some cool stories, tell some funny stories, some old crap stories, but other than that, it was a great first game, first week, first month that we started.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole premise of it is when you get out there, for a lot of people, I guess they don't really know what to expect. And you get out there and it's like, hey, it's your first game. And then you're seeing these other teams. And obviously the teams that have been formed for a little while, they kind of gel a little bit more and you're seeing the defensive plays and whatnot. But it's just kind of this eye-opening experience. I mean, when we got started as the Boozehounds, we were only the third team in, but there was already kind of a pattern going here, and it was like, it was a lot to take in. It was like, oh, okay, we didn't just form a team and we're not just, I mean, yes, you are hanging out in the park and drinking beers with your friends and whatnot, but it was like, it was kind of serious but not serious, if that makes any sense. But going back to what you were talking about earlier, when they do these open plays, for those of you that don't know, it's the first Saturday of every month, and it's usually like 10 or 11 in the morning. The time fluctuates a little bit depending on the time of the year, trying to stave off the heat and whatnot, but it's open to anyone. And as you said, anyone's welcome to come out, 21 and up. Just show up. If you don't have equipment, it's not that big of a deal. They got extra gloves, they got hats, people are willing to share. They have a bat sponsorship with Mine Bats, so there's plenty of bats out there. And Patty always tells everybody, is like, show up with a smile on your face, an open mind, and a good attitude, and let's play some baseball. I haven't been to too many of the open play games because I'm usually pretty busy around that time or I'm out of town. But lately, and you could speak to this because I know you and Aldi go to a lot of them, the turnout's been pretty crazy lately.
Yeah, man. I would say this. Aldi for our team goes to all of them. He's amazing. I've been to a couple, and all of them, when I get there, I just have fun watching the new people playing baseball. Like, I would go up there, and they'll be like, hey, you want to go in? I'm like, hey, have you played before? Like, no. Go ahead, stay in, man. I don't want to take that position. And, like, I just love it how you just see all the original people there. You see literally the same faces, and then they just kind of just go up to you, and the more you go, the more it's like, wow, this is my friend, you know? Like, wow, this is another community. And that's one thing that I noticed with the Oak Cliff Sandlot first Saturdays. Like, I honestly, the first time when I went to one, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll catch some more baseball, but I was kind of like, I don't want to go because I don't want to get my body tired. But literally when I go, it's just, I'm not here to play. I'm just here to join and meet new friends. And that's one thing that now, man, when someone asks, hey, what's Sandlot? First of all, I explain what my team is, just a bunch of guys just playing, guys and girls. But then I just say it's just like the movie, you know, you just go out there with your friends. But I was like, but if you're really interested, I'll be like, first Saturdays, man, trust me, just bring a glove and you're going to have a good time. And the reason you're going to have a good time is just because all our teams there are open arms. Hey, who are you, man? What do you do? That's cool, man. Hey, grab this bat. You're up next, you know? So it's a very good way of connecting the community, because then that's when you start to see like, oh, so what's your team? Oh, well, we're the Boozehounds, or that's the Honey Busters. And that's like the cool way that I just literally, I tell everybody, please just go to First Saturdays, bring a glove. And honestly, if you don't have a glove, someone will give you one.
Yeah, another thing too with this that I've noticed since I've been on a team is that when you're out like after a game and you're wearing your uniforms and whatnot, and people tend to come up to you in bars and they're like, "Oh, softball," and then you tell them, "No, it's not softball." And they're like, "Yeah, you're playing softball." And after about the second or third time they say it, like, "Oh, you're playing hard pitch fastball," and then all of a sudden they kind of turn and look at you like, "What?" And then all of a sudden they've gone from like almost mocking you in a way because you're in a bar in your uniform, and then all of a sudden they're like, "How do I get into this? How do I play?"
Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite things from all my coworkers, or just somebody is just like, yeah, you're in a softball team? I'm like, no, I play hardball. I'm like, you know it. The real deal, the real Holyfield. You got bat, you got a wooden bat, and you're just hitting the ball. Literally, you're hitting like for the bleachers and everything. But cool thing about it, we do have cool sandlot venues. I call them venues, stadiums, you know, Lake Cliff. I like Lake Cliff a lot just because you got that backdrop of Dallas skyline. And then when we play at Norbuck, it's really cool because you're literally lost in the woods, you know. But yeah, to describe people, they do get kind of like back and be like, no, you're playing softball, right? We're like, no, it's a real hardball league. And then I'm like, yeah, we got individuals from 21 to 65, maybe 70 years old. It does not matter. We've seen all ages, all shapes and forms, all accents, all different colors, everything you can get out there, man.
So that's a little bit about what Oak Cliff Sandlot is in a nutshell. Hopefully when Patty listens to this, Patty, I hope we told your story properly. He'll have a lot more to add to that. I mean, he had a whole in-depth podcast that I listened to last season that was pretty interesting. So one of these days we got to have him on for sure to tell his side of it. But that is basically what Oak Cliff Sandlot is here for anybody that may be listening that is outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We play in Dallas. Our home park for the most part for the league is at Lake Cliff Park down in an area called Oak Cliff, just to the southwest of downtown Dallas, and then the rest of us are kind of scattered in the near vicinity there. And as Mike mentioned, we got a park called Norbuck that we play at a lot, another one Sam Grand. But that's basically what Oak Cliff Sandlot is in a nutshell. We're going to take a break here, pay a few bills with the sponsors. When we come back in segment 2, we'll talk about the East Dallas Boozehounds. That's the team that we both play on and how that came to be. First Thirstdays podcast is brought to you by Suffer City Tattoos, located in East Dallas on Garland Road and open 7 days a week for all your tattoo needs. You can find them on Instagram at Suffer City Tattoos. By Good Friend Burger House and Beer Garden, the hottest little neighborhood oasis located at PV and Garland Road, offering classic burgers, craft cocktails, an extensive beer list, and more. Visit them at goodfrienddallas.com. And by East Dallas Baking Company, a home-based bakery in East Dallas started in 2021. Breads, pies, cookies, dog treats, and more. They're on Instagram at East Dallas Baking Company. All right, so in the last segment, we kind of got it out of the way, covered what exactly Oak Cliff Sandlot is for anyone that's listening outside of our immediate area. Mike, you mentioned that we both mentioned it started off with Patty, who then formed the 86ers, and then that second team that came in was the River City Honey Busters. But then a group of ragtag individuals that like to hang out at the same watering hole and just hang out on the patio all the time, watch a lot of sports in there, and just generally talk a lot of trash. All of a sudden, we became a brand new team, and we were the third team in the league, and I'll let you reveal the name.
East Dallas Boozehounds.
So I'm not 100% sure when all that chatter started or who first had the idea for that, but I remember it was a Wednesday night, and I was sitting at the bar with Carly, and I think it was Aldi that came in, and he's like, "Hey, you want to play baseball?" And I said, "Do you mean like right now in the park? It's dark outside. Or are you talking about like this weekend?" He's like, "No, do you want to be on a baseball team?" And I was like, all right, sure. And then he just walked back outside, and that was kind of the end of it. And then I go outside with you guys about an hour later, and all of a sudden it was like there was like 7 or 8 of you like, "Hey, we're going to form this team. We're actually going to play some baseball." I was like, "Oh, all right. What did I just sign up for?"
Yeah, I really love that because, I mean, you nailed it right there. Aldi, we're just talking in the patio. Meadows and them kind of just bring it up about this sandlot. And, I'm just like, I always wanted to play hardball, but I was like, but how serious is it? And they describe it's not serious. And I'm like, all right. So we joke around and we call it the starting 11. You know, we had to like literally get everybody in the patio involved. So there was probably like 8 people there. So everybody bought in, and then that's I think when Aldi went inside the bar and was like, let's get some more people. And sure enough, like that's why everybody started coming out. And we're like, well, we can technically play right now because we have 9, we have 2 extra. So perfect. We're all in. And then we're like, I'm pretty sure we'll get like 5 more tomorrow here. So it was just amazing how we just kind of like started that night. And yeah, it was a Wednesday because we always get there on Wednesdays. And the idea just kind of just start synced in. And we were sold at the moment. So yeah, jokingly, we call it the starting 11.
I think when it was all said and done, by the time we figured that out before the first game came around, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had like 24 or 25, maybe even 26 people on the team at that point. I know it was one of those things where a lot of people were like, hey, I'm going to play, and then a lot of them couldn't commit just due to schedule and whatnot. But it was crazy. Like, we definitely had 22-plus people on that team. I know we had a couple people from the bar that worked there, like Jack Hirschhorn and Josh Euchre had signed up for that. I mean, Jeff Martin. Like, we had a pretty heavy team rolling at that point. And even, like, later on in that week, like, showing up to see you guys on the patio, like, oh, we're really doing this. And the next thing I know, I think it was Meadows or either Aldi was like, okay, so here's the league fees, and we're going to order some uniforms. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. And then I went home that weekend and was digging through the garage. And I was like, I thought I had a glove, but I don't have a glove. So the next thing I know, I'm like, looking up sporting goods stores online, and I got to buy a bat. And then I think it was Tyler where it was like, yeah, you got to get cleats. And it's like, oh, cleats? Like, oh, yeah, I guess I don't want to twist an ankle. I better go buy some cleats. And now all of a sudden I'm like going through this whole battery of items that I got to get to go play some baseball.
Yeah, I did. Only thing I literally bought, honestly, was baseball pants, but that was literally 3 months after our first game. Like, I just got lucky. I had my glove since 2002, bought at Oshman's. I even had my same bat. So I was kind of like, well, just give me a shirt I can wear and we're good to go. Not knowing that I had to have baseball pants because literally I was just wearing sweats. And the cool thing about it is, like, when you look online, there's really not a uniform from Sandlot. But, like, for us just starting, we were like, all right, just get us a shirt. It says East Dallas in the front. Perfect. And we just kind of looked uniform, and yeah, we're actually doing it. And obviously that first season, it was just a blur of just excitement, you know, coming back. Every time we play a game, we come back to good friends, and we're like, yeah, look at us. We just played baseball. Did y'all win? And that's how we came up with our motto, because win or lose, we still booze.
Now, in that the opening part of that season, did you guys ever have any practices? Because we talked about this in the last segment. I missed that first game when y'all drove to Fort Worth and played the Panthers. I forget who we played that second game, but were there practices? Did you guys just kind of wing it?
Yeah, so there was the first practice, I would say, that I went to, and it was basically in the back of Jeff Martin's house. It was Meadows.
In Jeff's backyard?
Yeah, just basically Meadows, myself, Andrew, and Aldi, and we're just literally just throwing the ball and like pop. And then we were just like, oh my gosh, this is getting closer. And yeah, and after that, we kind of had our first practice at Gaston Park Middle School, and the field was horrible. I mean, we were like just snagging dirt, snagging rocks, but that's when everything kind of came to play, because we had literally like 9 people, so we're doing drills. We're actually throwing the ball at people. We're like fielding stuff, figuring out how to throw the ball, figuring out how to catch the ball, figuring out even how to run, you know? So it was all cool. All our memories are coming back, our muscle memories of just being a kid and playing baseball.
Yeah, the first game that I played with you guys at Lake Cliff Park, I believe it was a doubleheader, and I don't think we played the 86ers. I think we played somebody else that might have been from Fort Worth, but I remember seeing the pitching and thinking like, okay, this is kind of serious. And then my first at bat, I got nailed in the leg. Got put on base, and I was like, man, that hurt. Son of a bitch, that hurt. And then throughout the rest of the day and like looking down at my leg, I was like, all right, that's going to leave a mark. But I remember being out there in left field, and somebody smashed one out there, and I just tore after that thing. And like you just said, like all of a sudden it was like, okay, I haven't done this in a long time, and you have to relearn how to do everything. I went running after this thing, didn't get to it. It glanced off the end of my glove, and then I felt so stupid trying to scoop this thing up and turn around and try to huck this thing back down to the cutoff person. But it was kind of a bit of a pride swallowing siege at that point. It was like, all right, you know, there's more to this, and obviously I'm gonna have to start going to some practices and whatnot. But then again, trying to trot in once we got off the field was like, man, I still feel that hit in the left calf.
Yeah, man. Everything we took. All the small victories, from just swinging at the ball, from just having contact with the ball, to even just blocking the ball. Like, oh my gosh, you're playing second base and the baseball didn't go through you. Hooray! And they're like, all right, now let's work on actually getting it out. I mean, small things like that. We're watching somebody's first pop up, you're like, wow, yeah, you caught it, So even to this day, we have a new Boozehound player and they get their first hit. Boy, we just celebrate like it's a home run. If they get their first out, boy, we celebrate it like they just closed the perfect game. So, yeah, the first steps are always kind of fun for us. We celebrate that as much. But, yeah, year 3, we did have a lot of growth. I mean, even in the baseball from announcing people. I mean, Jimmy, talk about what you do with your PA system.
Well, that whole thing that was another idea that was, as I said in segment 1, some of the best ideas are born over having a couple of drinks with your friends sitting at the bar. So that was another patio idea. That is my job by trade. I am a live event announcer, and I do some TV stuff, mainly in the action sports realm, a lot of skateboarding, BMX, snowboarding, freestyle motocross, and that kind of stuff. But Tyler, I think it was Tyler's idea. Tyler's like, you should bring your PA. You should bring your PA to the games, and you should announce. And then it kind of turned into this thing was like, after that fly ball that I was just talking about that I tried to run down in that first game, I kind of torqued my knee on that one, so that took me out of the next couple of weeks. So I think it was the first time we ever played the Mudbugs, which was the 4th team in the league that formed not too long after us, that we decided we were going to test the waters on that and bring the PA out and do some walk-up music, and we had some funny intros for everyone. And I remember setting that thing up, and I remember those guys like, what in the hell are those guys doing?
Yeah, man. I remember when I heard that you were doing could do announcement, I was like, what? Jimmy's in the X Games? What? He's going to do that? Because I remember the first time I was just doing my little thing, just saying, batting up next, Jimmy, X Games, Coleman, beanie, meanie, 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 me, making up my own songs. But, man, when you showed up to scene, you had the PA system, it literally felt like Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, man, this is the big leagues, man. We're really here. Walk-up songs, man. Jimmy, talk about that, man. How you get the engages was that?
Well, the first one, not so much, because Tyler told me there was power out there at Norbuck Park, which there was not. So I tried to plug that whole thing into the cigarette lighter adapter in my truck. And as soon as I got into trying to do the first announcements and trying to play some music, it just clipped out the PA. And then I tried to reset it. And then finally, after about 15, 20 minutes of wrestling through that, someone finally found a workable plug that was on one of the light switch poles. So we got that thing going. But that first one, the first 2 actually was a little different because we wrote like funny intros for everybody's first time up to plate and just kind of picking on ourselves a little bit and having a good time. But then how that thing's kind of evolved over the last couple of seasons. I remember year 2, it got a little bit better. So I found this app called Ballpark DJ where I could actually get people's music and I can edit it to whatever I want it to. Once I just pull the file and I can slide it to like whatever start time they want, and you can add sound effects to the end of that all, but it puts it all in order and you can line it up in the batting order and whatnot. And it's just pushing a button, because before I was trying to like pull all this stuff off iTunes and like do it manually when people came up, and it was an absolute nightmare. So with that app, it kind of streamlined that, but then that put another goofy idea in my head. It was like, well, we need sound bites. We need quotes. We need music for when there's a home run. We need funny bits to play when there's a walk. You need to have like the bugle chant, and then the Mexican hat dance and the rising charge. And then I forget whose idea this was, but since we're called the Boozehounds, what's going to make a hound bark?
Oh, I think that was my idea. So, funny story. I read in the paper that Tampa Bay team had a dog night, and all of a sudden they said that the PA system will play around when the other team was at bat or something. I'm not sure. They're trying to just throw them off, and they just started ringing the doorbell, and they said so many dogs started barking. So I was just like, Jimmy, listen up, man. I think we need a doorbell and just have everybody to know that we're going to start barking. And, I mean, it's part of one of our favorite bits just because everybody else does it. And I'm not going to lie, there's times, and it's already been proven, you ring that doorbell, and we do have dogs and hounds in attendance, and they also bark with us, man.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that turned into like, okay, we're going to play that. And then it turned into a thing where it was repetitious. But then it turned, like later on that second season, it turned into a deal where other teams would be in the field. They'd be shouting like, yo, ring that doorbell again. Like everybody starts barking, even if they're not our team sometimes.
Now, you have to do everybody justice because there's a lot of people involved, and I'm going to shout out the first person because Carly is involved, but let's name all the other few people that is also there, and some of them are not living.
Yeah, Carly's out there. She's that's my girlfriend. She comes out there. It puts a lot on her because she runs the sound. So she not only does she run the sound, but she actually strings out a lot of those chords and whatnot. She sets that whole operation up, and then I'll start off the first 2 innings, and then I'll usually bail out into the field just to get things going. But she's running the ship at that point, so she's pushing all the buttons and making the music go. She's got it down to a fine science where she knows when to ring that doorbell so everybody in the team goes nuts. And then our boy Aldi had a run there this season where he smacked a few home runs, and we have the home run theme from the movie The Natural, where Robert Redford cranks that one and she hits that button when he had that run as well. I think it's called Chicago is the name of the track, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she's working on that. And then Cynthia Weatherford's on our team. Her boyfriend Justin, he's out there. He'll jump on the mic. We've had John Tipton's jumped on the mic before. You get out there, you got a whole spiel that you do that's absolutely hilarious.
What about that armadillo and that guy in Skeleton?
Oh, yeah, Sid. So we have this lovely little armadillo that we put out there. That's Sid. I bought Sid in an antique store in Prescott, Arizona in 2016. I was on a skate trip with my buddy, and we were in his mom's RV, and Mom was on the trip with us, and she said, you know what, it's St. Patrick's Day. We're doing Family Day. So we walked into these antique stores, and I saw that. So it was either an option of that armadillo, for those of you who can't see him, he has a sheriff's badge, a cowboy hat, and 6 shooters, and a bullet belt around his waist. There was that. There was another one that was laying on its back with a Lone Star bottle. Or for $300, I could have bought a taxidermied rattlesnake with a mouse riding it like it was a bucking bronco. So I wasn't going that deep, so I opted for the $150 for the armadillo. Bought that, took it down the street all day. We went to all these Irish bars, took him around, set him on the dashboard of the RV on the drive home, and just started taking goofy pictures with him. So he's kind of a regular. He sits on the corner of the table there next to the PA, and he's even got his own baseball helmet.
He does. And then you got some bodyguard back there too, right?
That would be our merch skeleton. Nothing bad happens with a $40 Home Depot Halloween decoration. That is Carly gave him that name. That is Jerry Speinfeld. So Jerry's sitting back there. Jerry serves 2 purposes. He sits in that chair, and he's wearing the merch. So if anybody comes out to a game and they want to buy a shirt, they want to buy a hat, or our koozies that we lovingly refer to as boozies, Jerry's sporting all that. But Jerry also has a secondary job because he sits in another goofy bit that we do, which is our VIP fan seat upgrade. I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so our VIP fan upgrade basically is any type of interactions. Shoot us a DM. You have a good chance of getting a small package of some merch and everything. So that's just us just to try to engage our friends. And we do a lot now, and we've kind of even grown and add some more stuff because we even have a coffee news mobile, right?
Yeah, Adam Jockelson is with he works with a publication called The Coffee News, so they sell franchises all over the country and in Canada, as a matter of fact. So he's got a couple of territories, if you will, in the Dallas area. So he's one of our proud sponsors, and he has this meter-maid vehicle, basically, which is I think he got it from, it was in New Jersey. I think it was in the Newark area. It was a meter-maid vehicle he bought on eBay. Calls it Little Mobile, but basically it is what you think it is. I believe it's got 3 wheels. It's got the one in the front and the 2 in the back, and that's how he drives around the neighborhood, and he drops off the coffee news when he delivers them to all the local retailers. So his whole spiel that we just started doing this season too. He actually drives the pitching changes. He brings the new pitcher out to the mound.
Sorry, I just opened a cold one.
Listen, it can't be first Thursday without having the sound effects of you opening a cold beer. He drives a fresh pitcher out to the mound. And wasn't sure how that was going to go over, but that's been one of those goofy little things that we do that people are actually starting to really get behind and enjoy.
Yeah, like I said, our growth has been there, and I literally tell all my friends, just show up. And you don't have to stay the whole game. Just catch 1 or 2 innings. Just because one thing that I really loved about our growth, ever since day one, we always had one of our friends. And yes, most people call them fans, but no, they're our friends. And it's so great because I tell people, like, if you're out there in the stands, you're basically one of us. So we've grown a lot where we're always having our friends show out, and it's so cool now because I think our last game, it was Memorial Day weekend, and we just saw like all these like little kids just running around. We always have kids, we always have a hound, but I just looked at my back in the Norbook and I'm like, I don't even know these people. And I just found out someone was just like, hey, there's this cool event, they're playing like Sandlot, and we can just have our kids just run around, and it's cool. There's music playing and everything, and literally we had like almost 40, 50 people there, and I think that's why I try to tell people, just show up to a game, and you'll get you hooked at least in 2 or 3 innings, because not only was our bits, but you get to meet us, you get to meet Jerry Spinefield, you get to meet the Armadillo, and, you just get to meet a lot of characters that you can connect with.
That's just funny. The last game we played, one of the guys saw the other team saw the armadillo, and he's like, "What's that?" And I told him, and he's like, "What is it? What you gave it a name?" I was like, "Oh yeah, he has a whole backstory." And that guy was like instantly roped in. But between that, I mean, the baseball chair, we found this crummy kids baseball chair with a baseball ottoman that we found on Facebook Marketplace. I think I paid $20 for. That's our fan upgrade. So we tell people, we post about it the week before the game, like, hey, DM us, we randomly pick someone in the 5th inning, we'll put you out in right field, set you out there with a beer, and like no one's actually taken us up on it yet. Like a couple people like to sit it on the sidelines, but one of these days we'll have to put that into play. But between what you were talking about with Little Mobile and just all the other things, like people bring their kids out and their kids come up and we let their kids grab the mic and the kids are like picking songs and going, go dad, and like try to do a thing every now and then. We get enough people out there, enough people with their dogs. We try to get the dogs or kids to run the bases for 7th inning stretch. But to your point, like people are out at the park, especially at Norbuck. This happens more at Norbuck than anywhere else, where people just hear the music and they're at that park and they come over and like, well, what are these guys doing? And then they sit down and they see all the goofy stuff that we're doing in the middle of a baseball game, and they see that kids are having a good time. And like, it's not just us and the team that we're playing, like all the Sandlot teams are out there. I mean, you got people from every team in the league that come out there. The Honeybusters come out to our games quite a bit. You got guys on the 86ers. Patty's out there a lot. You got Ben Carey's out there a lot. He's always out there taking photos. So
shout outs to Ben.
It's not just a baseball game. It's a family type vibe, and I mean it's total. Like, yeah, we're drinking beers and whatnot, but it's not like a giant rager. Like people bring their kids out, people bring your dogs, and I mean sometimes when it's super hot, people don't want to make that trek. But for the most part, when it's on, it's a good time, and everyone has an absolute blast.
So yeah, there you go. You want to lead us up to our next segment? What we're going to talk about?
Yeah, when we come back in this next segment, we're going to talk about some of the out-of-town teams and a little thing that we're doing coming up here in September. First Thirstdays is brought to you by the Dallas Coffee News, your weekly one-sheet reader for local news, trivia, games, and to connect you to local businesses. Stop by a local retailer to pick up your fresh brewed copy every Friday or find them on Facebook at Dallas Coffee News. By Lockhart Smokehouse. Stop by their location in Bishop Arts District for an ice cold beer and some authentic, slow-smoked Central Texas barbecue. You can also visit them at lockhartsmokehouse.com. And by 23rd Legion. Do you have a need for decals, stencils, or custom designs? 23rd Legion has you covered. You can find them on Instagram at 23rd Legion or their Etsy shop, 23rdlegion.etsy.com. All right, so in segment 1, we got it out of the way. What exactly is Oak Cliff Sandlot, and what do we do here when we play baseball in the greater Dallas area? Last segment, we talked about our team, the East Dallas Boozehounds, and how we came to be. Here in this segment, we're going to talk about, and this is mainly going to be for you, Mike, because I have yet to experience one of these, but one of the cool things that's part of Oak Cliff Sandlot, not just our team, but the league in general, is that Patty will organize these trips to go out of town and go play other teams. Sometimes it's your whole team. Sometimes they'll take a handful of people from each one of the teams in the league, but the whole overall theme is you go out of town, you go meet some new people, you play some different teams, and it's kind of a 3-day weekend, and you play some double and triple headers.
That's it, man. And also for this segment, I call it the out-of-town segment just because I'm going to focus on that. But also, I'm always going to just talk about maybe a team or two that I got to meet that's out of town. And right now, you probably can't see me because you're hearing me, but I'm wearing a shirt. Jimmy, can you read what it says on the shirt?
That says Ramblers.
All right. So I don't know, Ramblers. What is a Rambler? Well, I'll tell you what the Ramblers are. They're from East Austin. So they came here a couple of years back playing the Sheep Bowl, and then they called up and they're like, hey, there's this team that needs some help. We're like, all right. We showed up, and how awesome it was for us. It was me, Aldi, and a couple of people, even Tipton, and I think Adam was there. It was blazing hot, I remember. But their team was called East Austin. So we're like, dude, we're East Dallas, you're East Austin, and you wear red? Oh, my gosh, match made in heaven. So met a couple of Ramblers, and one's name was Hope, another one was Jins. They're also cool pitchers. So, yeah, that's one cool thing about Sandlot. I got to meet a new team, and forever I'll remember the East Austin Ramblers. But, yeah, like you talked about, Patty does a good job with Oak Cliff Sandlot and organizes out-of-state trips. This one trip I'm really going to talk about is going to be our Arkansas trip. So it was us, Lewis, who's a Coyote. It was the 86ers, obviously us, the Boozehounds. And we also had the Mudbucks join. So it was super cool because the first place that we played in Little Rock. And Little Rock has a lot of history. And I remember that day just because it was raining a lot. So everybody was just checking the weather forecast like they were Troy Duncan. And they're like, dude, are we going to play? Are we not going to play? So I'm going to tell you how we went literally to a bowling alley just to show up. And I thought this bowling alley was super cool because, first of all, the beers were only $2. I'm like, dude, $2 beers? Come on. I want to stay here for the rest of the time. But basically, they were just trying to scramble to find a field just because they kind of got rained out. And, most fields, obviously, when they get flooded, it's not kind of cool to play. But we were kind of just tempted. And I remember I told the guys, I was like, dudes, we're still going to play at this field if it's muddy or not. Because think about it. We came all the way to Little Rock to say we didn't play. We didn't want to get a little muddy. We're kids when we do this. So we're definitely going to play. And man, oh man, it was muddy. And it was pretty fun just because that first team that we played literally, it was called the Hillcrest Tree Rats. So major shout out to them. They were very, very, just supportive. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing and everything. And they were super cool because I'll tell you this, Jimmy, you think you saw a picture, but I saw somebody drinking Busch Light. And I know you love that Busch Light, right, Jimmy?
It was one of our people.
Oh, no, it was just a can out there. But, yeah, I was looking for the rep. Hey, Busch Light reps, follow me. But anyways.
There's the thing, though. It's not just the Busch Light. You got to have the brown bag, and it's got to be the 16-ounce can.
And they did.
That's the whole look.
And they did. And I had to take a swig, and they let me take a swig. So, man, the Hillcrest Tree Rats, the cool thing about them, it's just their neighborhood. So imagine Little Forest Hills had a team, and they just said, yeah, it's just our little neighborhood out there. But, man, that Sandlot team was what Sandlot is, very nice and supportive. And then the second team, man, looked like a movie. They were called literally the Little Rock Growlers, and they look like a punk rock team, and that's actually their little logo, and they call themselves Punk Rock Baseball. So anybody going to Little Rock, those are two cool teams to play out there. And they also do a lot of barnstorming because I think I checked out that they're going to Mississippi. So that's really cool how it just catches on that you just go out of town. And the next day that we had to play was really super cool. We played literally the Hot Springs Flaming Majestics. Cool thing about Hot Springs, there used to be a hotel called the Majestic. And why they called it Flaming? Because it burned down. And I was like, dude, that's super cool. So learned a lot of history, and we played in some historic fields. We played on the field that Babe Ruth played on. And I mean, if anybody remembers the movie Sandlot, well, how does that bit go?
I've actually never seen the movie.
Well, there's that bit where he's like, the Bambino, the main one, the blah, blah. And I was just like pointing. I'm like, dude, it says Babe Ruth there. So super cool that we're on grounds that Babe Ruth himself stepped on. And one thing about this game that we played, obviously we were watching the weather forecast, but it was humid, Jimmy. And I'm not going to lie, it was one of those games I did not want to catch. I was like, this is miserable. And by the second inning, I don't know what these guys, but I felt an angel. But this angel is different. Not like the angels in the outfield, but this angel was holding some Malort. And the other team, the Flaming Majestics, just walked over with the bottle. And I'm like, what are they doing? And I'm like, do they know we drink Malort? We were previously sponsored by Malort. But anyways, I took a shot of Malort, and I felt like I was just drinking medicine, and I was good to go. So just that characteristics of that community. You don't know what you're going to expect when you go in someone else's backyard, but also it's just so cool because all Sandlot is technically the same. It's like being a kid. You're just going to somebody else's backyard, and we're all doing the same thing, just having fun, being a community. So I really got to see that, and that's one thing that I love about Sandlot when you go travel. You get to see and be like, wow, from that outsider. And me personally, it means a lot because every time when someone comes to watch our Boozehounds games, I just want to make sure they have a good time. And when you go travel, they actually do that. You really feel like you're a guest in a 5-star hotel playing baseball. So that's my little segment on that. Just about out of town. I mean, I covered a couple of teams. Every time I'm going to talk about maybe a trip or two. I have more stories in the back of my head. I just kind of just want to go on the forefront and just see how welcoming these out-of-town trips, and also just for somebody who out there is like, hey, man, I want to join Sandlot. You have a good opportunity to join Sandlot, and the next month you'll be in El Paso. Or in 2 weeks, you're probably booked up to fly to New York. Or, hey, you're playing in Minnesota. So literally, you can just be anywhere out of town and playing.
Yeah, one of the things about that trip, I haven't gone on one of these out of town trips yet, but I remember sitting at the Whistling Pig with you and Aldi and Andrew Harris, and I believe Tipton was there as well, and Adam. But you were talking about even like the difference in that they play by slightly different rules out there, like it's a different batting situation.
Yeah, so they do just swing away. You get 3 free swings, and then you're out. So just small things like that you get to play because, we call our own balls and strikes here in Oak Cliff Sandlot. So for anybody who knows, that's what we do. There's a lot of other different rules that people do. Some people just get umps. Other people just have another person ump. So that's kind of like the cool thing, too. Learning, there's some adversity, some barriers to play, but that's just like you said. You're going to someone else's backyard, and they're like, all right, we're going to play this way. Cool. We're going to make the fun at it because we didn't travel all these miles just to fuss about some rules.
Yeah, so you're sharing baseball and you're making some new friends along the way and just seeing how it operates in different cities. And I mean, for me, the learning experience has been like, obviously there was a lot around the Metroplex here in Dallas-Fort Worth, but then starting to see all these different teams pop up around or just that have existed even before Oak Cliff Sandlot. But I mean, it's not just in the U.S. I've seen teams in Canada. We started an additional Instagram page last season called the Boozehounds Broadcast Network to kind of tie in to the whole thing that we do at the games with the announcing and whatnot. But the amount of teams that I've found since we've done that just all over the country, and it's insane. And like without ever interacting with some of these teams, and then they start following us.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's really cool traveling because that's when you get to know the other teams, right? Obviously, Wegro was our teammate, but when I'm there, yeah, okay, I'm there with Adam, I'm there with my own teammates, but man, this is a good time where I get to meet somebody from the Coyotes. So now I'm talking to Lewis, or for my experience, that's like one of the trips where I actually got to know Patty a little bit more, just talking with him, asking him questions, or just hearing stories. So that's one of the cool things, and that's kind of like what keeps us a lot more of a community when we come back, because now we're just like, oh yeah, we went to Arkansas together. Oh man, he did this or she did that. And that's like the cool thing about going out of town. So special shout outs, because I think the way Patty constructed our out of town schedule is amazing.
Yeah, it's super cool the way that he organizes those trips, and it ends up, it's not like, okay, just go there and then figure out a hotel. Like, he usually is pretty good about this, getting an Airbnb house. From what I understand is like that Airbnb house, like it, with league sponsors and whatnot, it covers that. So like, it's not just going there and you're all spread out at different hotels. Like, for the most part, the bulk of the group is camped out at an Airbnb house or two that are together. So like, you're not just playing baseball, you're hanging out, you're going to dinners together, you're going out to different, like you were talking about, the bowling alley, you're having beers together, you're experiencing a different city that you may not have ever been to before, but you're doing this as a collective group from our league.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, because then we're basically guests in somebody else, and they're basically telling us where to go. They're like, hey, come here, you're going to really like it. So that's one of the cool things. It's almost like when people, hey, go with the locals. Trust me, every time we go out of town, we're literally with the locals.
Yeah, and like in the past, I know that there's been some teams that I know the Honeybusters went and did one. That they went as far as Minneapolis. Last season there was a 3-day weekend that went on. They went to New York, so it was like kind of outside of New York City, but then they played in Brooklyn at one point, and then they went into Connecticut. And I mean, that field in Connecticut, when I saw the Instagram pictures, I mean, that thing was epic. There was like a mountain on the backside of the outfield. It was insane.
Yeah, man, that's one cool thing about out of travel. I said, not like collecting cards, but you're literally collecting memories of different venues. Like I said, hey, we got our venue that's beautiful. When you get to see other people's venues, and honestly, that's how baseball goes, right? Every ballpark in the major league is different. There's no same ballpark. So it's like we're going somewhere and we're watching somebody else's Fenway, or we're going to somebody else's Coors Park, or hey, when people come over here, they come to our Globe Life, right?
Yeah, you guys had, in that Arkansas trip, I saw some of the pictures. You had a pretty unique-looking field out there. It was artificial turf on one of those fields?
Yeah, artificial turf, man. Cool thing with saved us on that one, it started raining, but like the lightest rain, and we didn't stop the game. There wasn't no lightning and everything, and we just literally felt like little kids again playing in the rain. So that's one thing. It just always ties up to Sandlot, going back, honestly, like the movie, just being a kid and just swinging the bat.
So we got another one of those for the league that's coming up here. I believe that is in the middle of August. I don't have the dates in front of me. We can post that on the Boozehounds page and the Boozehounds broadcast network. But there's another 3-day trip going on up to. This one's all in New York this time. It's all in Manhattan, or not Manhattan, but the general area. They're not going up to upstate New York. They're not going to Connecticut this time around. But they got a 3-day barnstorm, and I believe they're staying somewhere pretty cool there, in like right in the heart of it all.
Yeah, Jimmy, guess what? Last time you said it right. When I saw that New York trip, I was a little bit kind of like, nah, I don't want to go. You know, I'm a Texan. I ain't going to New York. That Big Apple, they don't mean nothing to me. I was totally wrong when I saw those pictures. It was nowhere in the city. It was literally like cool mountains in the back, just green areas. Now this time, this New York trip, yeah, it's literally gonna be a big city trip because they're playing in a field in Central Park. So how cool is that? I mean, obviously for them in New York, it's just normal day living for them. But you get to say, hey, this weekend I'm going to play baseball in Central Park. Imagine that water cooler talk.
So there you go. The out-of-town trip's just one of the many parts of Oak Cliff Sandlot here in Dallas. First Thursdays has been brought to you by Vector Brewing, a family-owned brewery and taproom located in the heart of Lake Highlands. Their beer is brewed in-house just behind the bar in their custom 7-barrel brew house. Check out their selection at vectorbrewing.com. And by Fernet. Crafted from a formula known to one living soul, Fernet's flavor profile has been described as bitter, herbaceous, menthol, or sweet. But true aficionados know it as a unique quality that's certainly not for everyone. Stop by your local bar and ask for Fernet by name. All right, so here we are in the final segment, or as I think we should call it from here on out, Mike, the ninth inning.
Yeah, let's close this baby out, Jimmy.
So we just had a big weekend. We'll kind of do a big all-encompassing thing here. We just had a big weekend. We had a lot of Sandlot games going on, as we mentioned in that first segment, and then segment 2, we played a lot of different parks, and it's kind of cool. One of the Norbuck, which one we've talked about quite a bit. You had 2 fields, so a lot of times in these doubleheaders, we'll run them side by side, but the lights aren't working at the one, so we kind of had to get creative about spreading people out. So we had a couple of games on Friday night. Obviously, we played Friday night. We got to play one of the new teams in the league, the South Irving Coyotes, which I believe that was Luis Acuna. He split off from one of the other teams to start that group.
Yeah, so Luis Acuna, which we got to travel with, he was the 86ers, and he still fills in with the 86ers, but plain and simple, just like every Sandlot. People say, so what do you do again? You do what? And it catches on. So Lewis had a lot of his buddies that wanted to play. But cool thing about his buddies, they're all in the construction field. So, you know, there's a certain time limit that they just can't make. So there was a lot of early games that they couldn't do, but catch them after 5, they're ready. They'll pour some concrete, put some drywall, and they'll show up to that game. So it was really cool. We got to play them. Super fun. Everybody was just kind of like helpful. I like that team a lot because they're literally what Sandlot is. And, yeah, we played them on Friday. Under the lights of Samuel Graham. Literally, it was a cool game. The weather was amazing. It was not hot. We had lots of people. You know who else was there? Jeter was there.
Mr. Johnson, if you're nasty.
Whoo, don't get too nasty now. But, yeah, it was so cool just because we got to play him. It was our first time, and I think it's going to be a cool time every time we play him. But, yeah, that was Friday night. And then Saturday night, tell us who played.
Saturday, we had a couple of games spread out all over the place. So at Norbuck, you had the River City Honeybusters going up against the White Rock Mudbugs. At Sam Grand, I believe that was the 86ers, the Oak Cliff 86ers, and the Redbird Aviators. And then down at Lake Cliff, it was the Bombers, if I'm not mistaken. And they were playing the Fort Worth Panthers, were they not?
Correct.
So you had a lot of teams spread out all over the place, and Mother Nature didn't want to play ball, if you will, pun intended, and it started to get some rainouts, and then we had a couple of situations where the lights didn't come on one or two of the fields. And so you would think a lot of times that would just shut the whole thing down. I was like, all right, we'll reschedule. I know the Mudbugs and the Honeybusters they decided to call it. They were looking at the radar, and then with the lightning and whatnot, they're like, you know what, we'll do this another day. But then the craziest thing happened, and I'm so bummed that I missed this because I watched this whole thing unfold on social media, like in our group text chat between you, myself, Aldi, Tip, and a bunch of the guys on our team. We were talking about the weather and what was moving in, and like you were out, like you had just gotten a cooler full of beer and you were on your way to a game, because I know you were sending us pictures of the clouds, and like Aldi was actually filling in for one of the teams.
He was, man. It felt like we were chasing tornadoes that day, didn't it?
It was wild. Like the storm clouds, like I had gone to the store at one point when I was texting you my vantage point, and over by Norbuck, it looked ominous, and the lightning coming in from the west side. But what had happened was everyone, and I don't know how you guys did, I don't know if you exactly. I don't know if you guys orchestrated this or what, or if it just organically happened, but all of a sudden, all of these teams that now had all this pent up energy and had nowhere to go, all ended up at our local watering hole. They all ended up at the patio at Good Friend.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Like I said, we were playing Storm Chaser. I literally got into the convenience store and got my goodies in my cooler. And then when I walked out, I'm like, wow, that car has its windshield wipers on. I didn't see rain in the forecast. Then I hooked the left on Sammy, and I'm like, wow, that's a dark sky. And then I get there, I was like, oh, my gosh, it's raining. And then it was just drizzling a little bit. But, yeah, you can tell they were still playing over there at Samuel Grand. But then we got the text, and they're like, oh, man, the Mudbugs and the Honeybusters, like, called it. And I'm like, oh, no. So I was there also. Tipton was there taking footage. Big Aldi was also catching, just because that's what we do at Sandlot. And sure enough, we kind of said amongst ourselves, like, hey, let's just go to Good Friends, right? It's not that we're like saying, hey, we didn't invite, but all of a sudden the 86ers showed up. All of a sudden some Aviators showed up. All of a sudden the Coyotes showed up, and they weren't even playing. So Lewis and his buddies showed up, and then, yeah, the Mudbugs was just across the street, and the Honeybusters. And, dude, it was so cool. Honestly, for me, it was so cool just to see that, because just so we talked about in the other segment, how we first started Sandlot talking in that patio at Good Friends. And it was just our starting 11 of friends, and now there's literally 6 teams in that patio. And it was so cool because you saw all their hats. They're just laid back talking. I even kind of like had an anxiety attack because I didn't know who to talk to. I was like that dog just wagging his tail. I was like, who do I smell? Who do I smell? Who do I smell? I want to go smell John.com, I want to go talk to Seth. Oh, I want to go over here. Like, you were just getting dragged everywhere. Oh, there goes Blakely. Oh, my gosh, let me go. So, man, it was so cool. If you go on the social media page, they edited a cool song because they just started doing the sing-along, right?
Yeah, how in the world did that happen? Because that's when I started to see the photos on Instagram that night, and then you guys ended up you guys all started singing Total Eclipse of the Heart at one point?
See, that's the one thing I missed because I stepped inside and all of a sudden I didn't hear it, but when I saw it, I was like, oh man, I missed it. I even missed the pictures, So, but yeah, it was super, super packed, and like I said, something that the community Sandlot does, man. It just unites people. It's like a gravity of just like, let's just hang out and be friends. And yeah, even at that point, we just start taking baseball. We start talking about our trips. That's the perfect time where, hey, there goes Blakely. We went to El Paso together. Oh, there goes .com. We were in San Antonio just 2 weeks ago, Oh, there goes Patty. We're also in Arkansas. Oh, yeah. Remember Gray? Yeah, we were in in Little Rock. Not Little Rock, but Tulsa. But that's one cool thing. Anybody who was a witness to that, maybe they'd be like, who are these baseball people? And honestly, even there, people ask, so you play softball? No, hardball. And I'm pretty sure so many people at Good Friends got the explanation to come out first Saturdays at Lake Cliff. Come check it out. Like you said, Patty had the shirts out there, not only for the flood victims in Kerrville, but also to get covers. And it's a cool little shirt. The shirt really describes what Lake Cliff Park is. It has a little backdrop of the skyline in Dallas. Like I said, it's really cool that we kind of have a whole tight net of a community of teams that just represent one little branch of Oak Cliff Sandlot.
Yeah, and to kind of echo on that point about the T-shirts, Patty has 2 different kinds of shirts, or 2 collections of shirts, if you will, that he's got for sale over on the Oak Cliff Sandlot website. So one type of shirt that you can see, he's selling those, and the proceeds for that are all going to the Kerrville, Texas flood victims for what happened, the tragedy that we suffered here in the Lone Star State back on July 4th. The other T-shirts that he's selling, some OCS gear, he has T-shirts and he also has hats, and the proceeds for those, the sales for that, they're going to put roofs over on the dugouts over there at Lake Cliff Park, because it gets a little warm out there. So trying to beautify the neighborhood down there. So if you want some official Oak Cliff Sandlot gear, you'll be helping out 2 very good causes in the process with that.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I dare somebody listening to this, that whoever buys one, take a picture and slide into the Boozehound Broadcasting Network and we'll give you a shout out. That'll be cool, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, we got on Instagram, we got at Boozehounds Broadcast Network, and then we also have at Boozehounds Baseball, which is the official team page. But if you do end up buying some Oak Cliff Sandlot gear, by all means, if you want to post a picture, tag us in it. We'll give you a follow. We'll give you a shout out here. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about your team in one of these upcoming podcasts. Speaking of which, on the merchandise front, we haven't talked about this yet. It's not just us. It's not just Oak Cliff Sandlot, but all of the teams, for the most part, have some sort of merch in some way or another. That's another cool thing. Another thing about this whole league thing is, like, it started off, yeah, we're all playing baseball, but then you see, like, the league's got sponsors, and then we started dabbling with that, and now we've got sponsors as well, the Mudbugs and the Honey Busters. So it's people that pay into this, that help us live out this dream and do what we do and have fun in the process. But we have some pretty cool merch. All the teams do. And we have a vendor for that, and it's Anchor Screen Printing, which you can find on Instagram and also their website, anchorscreenprinting.com. So all the teams in the league have their stuff out there, so it doesn't matter if you're looking for some Mudbugs merch, you want some 86ers gear, you want something from the Honey Busters, the Boozehounds, the Aviators, whoever it may be, just go over there to anchorscreenprinting.com or find them on Instagram, and you can get your official gear. You can also go to oakcliffsandlot.com. Patty's got a whole website. There's a list of events on there and everything. You can see there's the different team pages. There's photos up. There's rosters. And you can also get that Oak Cliff Sandlot gear that we were talking about over there at oakcliffsandlot.com.
So, yeah, to finish off, Jimmy, I want to do a little shout out and let everybody know we got a couple of games coming up. So,
are you going into the schedule?
Yeah, I'm going to the schedule.
Look at you being uber prepared. I love it.
I'm going to the schedules to let everybody know, because now you heard about us. Well, where can you see us? So you can go to our Boozehounds Baseball, our handle, but we're going to have a game on the 26th of July, so clear his calendar for that. And if you can't miss our July game, hey, we got one in August, at the beginning of August, August 8th, and we got another one on the 23rd. So in this order, we're going to be playing the Dallas Sheeple, which they're a fun group of guys. They even got a little documentary on there, and for 2 seconds, you can see me. But also, we're going to play the White Rock Mudbugs, and then we're going to play the All Hats. And cool story about the All Hats, it's a Friends of the Sheeple. So it's really cool. Our schedule, I think if you're able to make one of these 3 games, come check it out. Get to meet all the people on the Boozehound Broadcasting Network, especially Jerry Spinefield. Get to see Sid. Get to see Carly, Justin, and everybody involved with the broadcast. But, yeah, I just want to give a quick plug on that, Jimmy.
One of the other things that goes on here in the league is we have these things called Oak Cliff Sandlot Socials. Those happen pretty frequently throughout the season. And basically, like, we all kind of have our watering holes. Like, we talked about our place being good friend. That's where we kind of became a team and where we all hang out at. But, everybody's got a different sponsor and whatnot. So, with the White Rock Mudbugs, theirs is at Charlie Starlight Lounge. And then the 86ers, I believe, have a pizza place down there in Oak Cliff. The Honey Busters, they kind of go back and forth. They've got Double Wide, which is another bar down there in the Deep Ellum area of Dallas. But they're going to have one tomorrow night, which by the time this probably goes up and airs, it'll be after the fact. But I want to give him a shout-out. Our buddy Seth Lopez at Virtus Barber and Company, he is a sponsor of the Honey Busters as well as the league. So he is a really cool barbershop here in East Dallas. So they're actually the host of that social tomorrow night.
So, yeah, by the time you probably listen to this, we probably already had a fun and probably have a story to tell y'all. So that's going to be the cool thing about these podcasts, just keeping everybody updated, up to form, but also maybe share some cool, funny stories. We got a lot of stuff kind of planned, but we're just trying to get this through the pipeline.
So that's basically a little bit about us in a nutshell here, trying to cross the T's and dot the I's here with this first episode. As we mentioned, we welcome everyone. It's 21 and up. We have those open play games. Those are the first Saturday of every month. So if you go to any of the team's Instagram pages or go to oakcliffsandlot.com, Patty's got a schedule up there. Click on events. It'll tell you when all the open play games are, the times. And one thing that we did not mention yet, and I do want to put this out there, it's co-ed. It's men and women. You just have to be 21 or older, and you don't need equipment. Just show up, and I can't stress this enough. Just show up, be willing to meet some people, shake some hands. If you're a little nervous, you know what? Roll up, sit in a chair, and watch for a little while. A lot of people kind of hang back until they get the lay of the land and figure things out. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just come on out and smile on your face and just introduce yourself. And if you don't have a glove, you don't have a bat, you don't have a helmet, doesn't matter. Just come on out, say hi, male or female, 21 and up. You can come on out and play some Oak Cliff Sandlot baseball.
Man, Jimmy, sounds like you're about to throw a third strike on us.
It is that time, Mike. We got to close this thing out. So we got to thank some people that are responsible for making this happen. We'll start it off with Sergio Longoria. Now, he is going to provide us with some music that we're going to be able to put on the front and the back end of this. May not happen with this episode, but either way, want to give him a shout-out before we say goodbye on this first episode.
Yeah, and also thank for our host, Mr. Jeter himself.
Mr. Johnson, if you're nasty.
Ooh, stay clean.
There's a whole story there. His wife will get a kick out of that when we listen to when she listens to this one back. But thank you to Jonathan Jeter for providing the space for us to do this and the technology and everything behind this, because I had no idea when you came up with this idea. I was like, I think we can do this. And I started trying to look at a bunch of equipment that we were going to need. Jeter's like, I got you. Come to my studio. I got you covered. So we wouldn't be able to do this without him. So thank you very much, sir, for allowing us to use your space here.
Yeah, and with our famous motto, so we're going to sign off because win or lose,
we still booze.